Hey guys, in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you some of the biggest intermittent fasting mistakes that people make time and time again. Making any of these mistakes will mean that intermittent fasting is just another short-term fad diet where you only get results in the short term. I'm also going to be giving you my top tips on how to automate the process of fat loss, and that is without having to calorie track and measure every single gram of food. I'm Max Lowry. I'm an author, fat loss expert, and intermittent fasting advocate. I wrote the book called 2 Meal Day back in 2017, and I have been practicing intermittent fasting for over 10 years now. I've helped thousands of people achieve a long-term fat loss success. If you want to know more about intermittent fasting, if you want to go deep into the science, the benefits, the history, the mistakes, all that kind of stuff, then I did make an intermittent fasting short course, which you can check out below in the links. Mistake number one with intermittent fasting is thinking that it's a magic pill for fat loss, because it isn't. This way of thinking leads to two problems. Number one, they end up eating too much because they think intermittent fasting is a magic pill and you can eat as much as you like. And problem number two is they think that they can eat whatever they like. So the quality of the ingredients, the nutrition in the food doesn't matter. You know, they could eat ice cream, pizza, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Yes, intermittent fasting can make fat loss easier, but the fat loss benefits come from being in a calorie deficit. And obviously, if you are restricting the time in which you can consume calories, you're going to make it easier to be in a calorie deficit. But again, the fat loss comes from being in a deficit, not from this magic pill of intermittent fasting. If you manage to eat in a calorie surplus when intermittent fasting, which you're more likely to do if you're not focused on the quality of the food that you're eating, then you will not lose weight and maybe even put on weight whilst intermittent fasting. What you eat when you're intermittent fasting, or even if you're not, is important. Eating nutritious foods, nutrient-dense foods most of the time is what I advise my one-on-one coaching clients. And that is going to improve your physical health, it's going to improve your energy levels, and it's probably going to make you feel less hungry because you're actually nourishing your body and giving it what it needs. And obviously feeling less hungry when you're trying to lose weight, when you're trying to incorporate intermittent fasting is key. In contrast, eating junk and processed foods can wreak havoc with your energy levels and your hunger levels and make fasting more difficult. Let me be clear, I'm not trying to label any food as good or bad, but if you want to get long-term fat loss success, eating nutrient-dense foods most of the time is powerful. Mistake number two, obsessing over eating windows. This has a really detrimental effect on your relationship with food, and again can just mean that intermittent fasting is a short-term restrictive diet rather than an effective lifestyle tool that you can incorporate in the long term. For me, one of the main benefits of intermittent fasting is that you learn to listen to your body. You learn to eat when you're hungry. This, in essence, is the fundamental aspect of intuitive eating, of eating intuitively. But when you're obsessing over the clock and you're only focusing on eating windows, you're eating because the clock tells you to, and you're not listening to that body. You're not learning to improve that communication between mind and body. This is actually what led me to create my own method of intermittent fasting, which I call the 2 Meal Day. Again, check the description below. You can find out more about how that works. If you want long-term fat loss success, you must be able to differentiate between real hunger, which is something that occurs every 12 to 24 hours, and perceived hunger, which happens regularly throughout the day and is usually triggered by emotion, boredom, habit, routine, and stress. Obsessing over eating windows and just listening to the clock will mean that you're never understanding the difference between perceived and real hunger. Most diets focus and end up failing because they are restrictive and they make you feel deprived. If you are allowing your intermittent fasting protocol to get in the way of your social life, if you're saying no to going out for dinner because it's past 8 o'clock, or even worse, going out for dinner with friends and refusing to eat and watching your friends eat, then you are doing intermittent fasting wrong. I'm not trying to make anyone feel guilty here. I have done that in the past when I was a beginner, but I have now done this for many years and I don't want you to make the same mistakes that I made when I first started intermittent fasting. Let me know in the comments if you've ever gone out for dinner and not eaten with your friends and family. Mistake number three is being all or nothing in your approach to intermittent fasting and fat loss. This is one of the biggest issues that I help my clients with, being in that all or nothing mindset. It's dependent on willpower and motivation, which are finite resources. When people with an all or nothing mindset are feeling motivated, they're going all in. They're fasting every single day. They're going 18 hours. They're doing 7 training sessions in a week. They're cutting out all carbohydrates. They're not eating any sugar. They're cutting out alcohol. They'll be able to do this for a short period of time, but obviously it's not sustainable to do those things. They require a ton of motivation and willpower. And when there's one day where you don't do those things, you think you failed because you have an all or nothing mindset. What works is somewhere in the middle, somewhere between all or nothing. Don't make this mistake with intermittent fasting. Don't label it. To be honest, I don't even tell people that I intermittent fast. I just tell people that I eat when I'm hungry. Most days that's not till 1 o'clock in the afternoon, but some days it's earlier. It could be at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning, especially if I've been incredibly active, like I recently trained for a marathon. Someone with an all or nothing mindset who eats outside of their eating window will think that they've failed and then associate intermittent fasting with being too restrictive and not sustainable in the long term. And then obviously you don't get the long-term success. Let me know in the comments if you are someone who is stuck with an all or nothing mindset. Mistake number 4 is moving too fast and not gradually easing into this way of eating. For many people that I work with, I don't introduce intermittent fasting until some basics have been covered first. People often jump straight into a 16-hour fast, which might work for some people, but for a lot of people, you're probably going to experience a lot of negative side effects. You're going to be irritable, lethargic, you're going to be obsessing about food, counting down the hours until you can eat. You may even get headaches. I have created a step-by-step process that eases people into the process of intermittent fasting so you can get all those fat loss benefits without calorie counting and without any of those negative side effects. And that way it becomes sustainable in the long term. If you want to learn more about that, check out my 30-day reset by clicking that link below. Mistake number 5, that is only incorporating intermittent fasting and hoping that it fixes everything. Intermittent fasting is an incredibly effective tool for fat loss, but it is only one tool in the toolbox. In order to completely change your life, get long-term success, become the best version of yourself, you need a wide array of tools that are specific to the job at hand. This is even more important if you have spent many years failing to succeed at long-term fat loss. If you've hopped from one diet to the next, there's going to be a ton of beliefs that you need to unravel and unlearn in order for you to get that long-term success. Intermittent fasting will not undo the damage that fad diets and diet culture have done to your mindset, your beliefs, your identity. This is the bulk of what I work on with my one-on-one coaching clients. Most people, when they try to lose weight, they just focus on nutrition, they just focus on exercise. But those are the symptoms of the issue. And instead, the mindset, the beliefs, the identity is the root cause. Learning how to address the root cause of the issue is key. The quickest way to get long-term success and address your mindset, your beliefs, and your identity is to get a coach. Having an expert guide you through a process is the quickest and most efficient way to get you to your goal. You know, you have a destination that you would like to get to, and at the moment, you're probably using the sun, the moon, and the stars to get there. Yes, it is possible to get to that destination using those methods, but it's probably going to take a very long time. You're going to make a ton of mistakes along the way, and most likely you'll give up when you don't get the quick results. Whereas having a coach is like an efficient GPS system. It's Google Maps, it's Waze. You're getting there in the most efficient way possible. You're avoiding all the roadworks, avoiding all the traffic, and learning a ton along the way. If you would like the opportunity to be coached by me, then click the link below for the coaching review and I'll get back to you with my tips and advice. Intermittent fasting is quickly becoming a sustainable way of life for many, many people. You have the opportunity to lose weight, improve your energy levels, and reduce your hunger. Making sure that you don't make any of these mistakes in the video will ensure that it does become a way of life instead of a short-term fad diet. Hopefully this has been useful. Let me know in the comments if you've enjoyed this. Check out my other videos. I'll be releasing more and more content soon on how to achieve long-term fat loss success.